Hey everyone, it's Lauren. I am solo for this episode. Lindsay is out this week, and I do apologize that we're so late. We had a little bit of technical difficulty and just everything was super crazy. But so this episode will be a little short, but not to worry. We will be back with our regularly scheduled weirdness on Monday, the two of us together. Um, but in the meantime, I did just want to drop this short little episode for you guys. Um, all right. So the topic for today is actually something that's going to be a feature going forward in every episode, and it's called Mom Tip of the Week. Should we rename that? Inbox us. Should we call it something like Just the Tip? Maybe we should call it Just the Mom Tip. You tell us. Come up with a better name. Until further notice, it's called Mom Tip of the Week. So basically, what this is gonna be is each week we're gonna take turns because we don't want our episodes to be like extremely long. But this week is me, obviously, since I'm doing the episode, and then on our episode on Monday will be Lindsay's turn. And one of us will just leave you guys with a tip that we have learned, a tip or a trick that we've learned that makes our lives easier, usually parenting related, but maybe sometimes it will be something else. I know that a lot of the time we try to give advice where we can, but usually our topics are a little heavier than that. And so Mom Tip of the Week is going to be more like, here is a really cool app I found, or a really cool toy that they came up with, or a product that I love, or just like a change of perspective that has helped me. Whatever. It'll be little things like that that have helped us, that hopefully can help you. And also feel free to send us your mom tips. So you can email those at swearingmamas@gmail.com, or comment or message us on all the usual platforms. So without any further ado, our very first mom tip of the week, brought to you by me, is going to be to stop fighting your kid. Okay, let me elaborate. um, when you discover something that your kid is doing that is like an uphill battle, figure out how you can actually just stop the battle. Because what I've found a lot of the time, it's literally impossible. Like if you try and stifle something that a kid wants to do, they're just gonna fight harder, or they're gonna do it in other weirder ways. So to be clear, I'm not talking about like anything big. Obviously the big things, like there are certain lessons that you have no choice but to teach your kid. And there are certain things that your kid will do that you should not have to put up with. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about things that are going to make your life easier, things that are just stupid little things that, if you really think about it, maybe you're only correcting it like out of default just because it seems so like, here's an example. Oliver was getting into everything. um, he always gets in the pots and pans if he gets in the kitchen because I keep him in like the warming drawer, which the kitchen is currently blocked off because he was also starting to get into the cabinets, which I've got cleaner and stuff, and I don't have a way to mom proof. I mean to mom proof. Good God, to baby proof them yet, but I will. I will. In the meantime, I put the baby gate up. However, like outside of the kitchen is a little bit more difficult, and so we have a hutch, and in the bottom is I keep like my coffee and tea products and then coffee mugs. So for Oliver's birthday party, I had a hot chocolate bar, and I wanted to encourage people to use reusable mugs if they wanted to. guess that sounded weird, like all mugs are reusable, but like my mugs, as opposed to the styrofoam cups I got, I did get some just for anyone who wanted to take it to go. But point is that I put all my mugs up in the top section that only a grown-up would be able to reach and opened it up for people. And it really was just meant as a temporary fix, but at the same time, the timing worked out well because Oliver was going in these cabinets and pulling everything out. And so one of the things that he was pulling out, of course, was mugs. And he was really throwing them on the floor. And it wasn't a huge distance for them to be dropped, but it was still a little bit concerning to me that he was going to break one. And it just ended up mugs on my kitchen table every day and stuff. So, so the mugs got put up in the top half of the hutch, and after the party, when I looked at it, I thought, I actually like how this looks. Before, I just had it to where you could see my fancy teacups, but now, it's kind of just the way I have it organized. They're in, like, there's a little bit of order to it. They're not, like, all just shoved up there. Like, my husband has an I Love Intercourse mug. Shout out to Intercourse, Pennsylvania. Any of my East Coast friends know that's an Amish town. My West Coast and, the rest of the country, you guys are probably like, what? It's actually a town called Intercourse. But that is besides the point. He has a mug that says that. Actually, can I just please pause? Because this is what we do in this show. We go off topic. When I was, I believe this is actually when I was pregnant. I'm pretty sure it was at my last job. One time I asked my husband to pack me a coffee mug and a tea bag for work that day. And this man, I didn't pay any attention. He just put it in my lunchbox. This man put that mug in there for me to sip at work in front of not just my coworkers but customers. God bless him. So anyway, we put that mug in the back where you can't read it. But point is, it actually looks nice. I like how it is. And Oliver can't pull stuff out. And then I was fighting it for a while. Like he would pull all these things out, like in terms of like teas and stuff. And I was stressing putting them right back in. And then I realized after a few minutes of doing this, well, like, so what if he pulls the tea out? It's not hurting anyone. It's closed. It's not like he's dumping loose tea on the floor. The canisters are closed. Or else they're individually wrapped bags. So either way, I mean, he's not making a mess. There's nothing in there that can hurt him. Well, there was like a corkscrew, but I moved it. And he was having so much fun. I mean, oh my God, mere weeks before this started, I couldn't really leave him to do anything. Like, I was trying to get shit done, and I could not leave this child. He would cry and fuss, and it was always something, always something. But I realized once I let him get into stuff on his own, he was content all day. I mean, I take a couple minutes out here and there to play with him. I do. Or, and at nighttime I read him a book, and a lot of the time when I nurse him, I'll turn on Netflix. I love Octonauts. It's the show I watched with the little boy I used to nanny, so I turn that on for Ollie. And we'll watch that together and cuddle. So, like, we spend time together, but I don't have to, like, be in the same room. That before, it didn't even matter if I played with him. I just had to be there. And sometimes, he's sensitive and I still have to be in the room, if he's just having a bad day or whatever. I think we all can relate, right? But, in general now, I can just leave him be and he will just go to town. Now, since then, I think my husband was fed up with him pulling all the tea stuff out, just because you do have to pick it all up. Now, that's the thing. You have to pick it all up when he's done, at the end of the day or whatever it may be. But it's 5 minutes. Or even less, but even if it's 5 minutes, like, you can spend 5 minutes picking up at the end of the day, or you can spend the whole day continually putting things back away that he's pulled out, or coming up with ways to keep him out of the hutch. And like really when I've tried in the past to like block him from things, he really gets upset and like throws a fit and cries, you know? So, I mean, we can have a difficult day where we're fighting each other and I'm continually pausing what I'm doing to tell him no, or I can just let him do the thing. Um, and similarly, like when I do let him in the kitchen, it's not often because it gets on my nerves, to be honest. But sometimes I will let him in the kitchen if I'm in the kitchen and he's being needy and wants to be near me. My laundry room is through there, so I'll close the laundry room door because like it's not a place for babies. The floor, that's where the cat's litter box is, and I don't want him crawling in that room. So I'll close that door. Instant fix. And then the cabinet that has the cleaners and stuff in it is in front of the sink. So I'm doing dishes, I'm already standing there, I just press my leg against it so that even if he tries to open it, he can't. And he doesn't realize that I'm holding it, so he doesn't get mad. It's tricky. If he knew I was holding it, he'd get mad. But I will let him go to town on the pots and pans. I let him pull them all out, throw them on the floor and drum on them. That's what he wants to do, and he has fun, and it entertains him. And what does that cost me? A few minutes at the end of the night to, I just rinse them good with hot water. Um, unless if the floor's real dirty, you might should just wash them. But, you know, um, or he'll go in the cabinet where I keep his food and he'll pull out his bottles and things. And again, it's just like, it doesn't really take that long um, to fix. And it's much more difficult to fight him. Um, oh, but I was going to say my husband baby proofed the hutch. So I think that was just his own thing. He got these, like bungee cords, I guess. And they just work out perfectly to where he has one around each handle and it keeps it closed. And Oliver actually likes to like pull on them and pull on the drawers and make them snap back closed. He has fun with that. So again, that's a win-win. But even if we didn't have those, we would be making it work the way that things are. And like the bungee thing, it looks okay. But before we baby-proofed our entertainment center, we had like DVDs and CDs and games and just cars and all kinds of things that at one time were organized nicely and looked nice, but had become a disaster mostly because of him. And Seth had just taken like the lids to Rubbermaid totes and stuck them in front and then bungeed that and tied a knot. It looked ridiculous. It looked really ugly. Every time I came in the room, I just thought about how ugly it looked. And again, like it served the purpose and he didn't get in there, but it was so ugly. So with that, it was like, well, that's another thing. Like, I don't want ugly baby proofing around the house. I don't, I want to enjoy my home and I want my child to enjoy it and I want to enjoy my child and I want to enjoy my life and not always be fighting him and always be miserable and always be upsetting him. So, that's my mom tip of the week is just, figure out a way that you can embrace. Another really good example, and by the way, let me just interrupt myself here to say this episode, this mom tip here is longer than the amount of time we're normally going to spend on an episode, but because it's the whole episode this week, I feel as if it's okay for me to spend a little more time elaborating. So anyway, though, another really good example that I thought of is when I used to babysit this little boy a few months back. He loved to play with the formula out of his bottle. Oh my God. He would push the nipple inward and like squeeze it and whatnot, whatever he could do to get the formula out and play in it, to the point that he would even push the nipple down into the bottle a few times and dump milk everywhere. Um, so what I ended up doing with him, because I was like, okay, I can't just sit there and hold him and make him take this bottle, because he was at an age where he wanted to feed himself the bottle, and he didn't want it all at once either, and he also didn't want to drink a lot. I guess um he was about, he guess he was kind of like weaning himself off the bottle. He was close to a year. But anyway, I was sitting there like, okay, I don't want to deprive him of his desire to play in the liquid, but I don't want to have a mess. So what I did was I put him in the high chair. No, I'm sorry, I lied. I did not put him in the high chair, but I've done this with Oliver in the high chair. I let him play on the floor because this is before Oliver was crawling. Um, so I got like a couple towels and laid on the floor, and then I got just like a pan, like a cake sheet pan, and I put water in it. I put some ice cubes in it to have something floating around. Like, ice cubes are really fun to play with. I put some balls that float, and then I put a couple toys that don't float. And then I got him a slotted spoon out, set that all up, and let him go to town, and he loved it. He had so much fun with it. And of course, he dumped the water out and made a mess. But A, it's water, it doesn't stain, and B, it wasn't a big deal. It wasn't, I had towels down, I embraced it, and this was a lot better than having to constantly wipe up formula. So, that's one thing that I've really, noticed, and sometimes I forget about it, but time and again, I'll catch myself fighting something, and then I notice, oh yeah, or I remember, I'm like, oh yeah, life is easier if I stop fighting this, and he'll be happier, I'll be happier. Let me just find a safe way for him to do it in a way that works for me too. Um, and also, another thing to remember, and I've kind of briefly said this before, is they're doing the annoying thing because they're learning. And I think remembering that really changes how you frame the whole thing, how you really think about the whole thing. It's like I can be annoyed that Oliver keeps, pulling things out of the cabinet, or I can just think, like, how adorable is it that he's learning about the different weights of different containers, the different sounds they make, the different smells that they have, with it being loose tea. And how gravity works and all of these things. Like, he doesn't know the words, but he's learning what, it means in the world. And with the water, too, it's a big sensory thing. Learning a lot about these different feels, temperatures, feelings, how things float and how they don't, weights, how water goes out of something when there's holes in it, but stays in something without holes. Those things are like the basis of everything they're going to learn in the future. So it's actually really cool that they're being curious and that they're doing these things they're doing. We just have to find a way to allow them to do it. Don't stifle them, but don't let yourself go crazy either. So that's my mom tip of the week. Whatever incredibly obnoxious, annoying thing your kid is doing, find a way to let them do it in a fun, productive, safe way. So yeah, I hope that someone benefit from that, or that could help somebody, or remind somebody who has forgotten. So yeah, mom tip of the week. And then now with that aside, I want to go ahead and read you guys some things from the internet. Okay, so I have two short little stories. First one is Crystal, my 9-year-old is brushing his teeth, walks in my room and says, "Mom, I'm doing drugs." No, you're not. Yes, I am. It says drug facts on the back of the toothpaste. Kids are weird and on drugs, apparently. Alright. Next one is from Cassandra. She said, "My youngest swears Chris Pratt is his, quote, other dad. And I'm just sad I don't remember that tango. I love that. I love it so much. God. We would all love to remember a Chris Pratt tango, wouldn't we? All right. Anyway, so those two stories aside, I also wanted to go ahead and let you guys know a few things. First of all, there are I think 2 new designs on Teespring. I can't remember when I debuted our Teespring account, so I'm not entirely sure which designs you guys might have already seen, but there are new ones. And the one that is my current fave is it's got a middle finger drawing on it, and it says "fuck mom shaming," but there's letters and stuff, so it doesn't really say fuck. It says F at pound sign. I don't know, but you know what I mean, right? You know, the swearing thing. It's funnier if you just look at it. Don't I shouldn't have tried to describe that. Anyway, so that is available on Teespring, as well as a plain Swearing Mamas, some Swearing Mamas gear. So if you just want to support us or represent us or whatever, you could get that one. Yeah, anyways, I think our Teespring designs are pretty cute right now, so hopefully you find something you like. The link is on our Facebook page, but it's also teespring.com/stores/swearing-mama. Just go to our Facebook page and click the link. But anyway, get you some merch. I also wanted to mention, for anyone else who was asking about how you can support the podcast, you do have the option on anchor.fm/swearingmamas if you want to make a monthly, if you consider us a subscription, some kind of service that you subscribe to as our show is entertaining you, like your Netflix or Hulu or whatever, then you can feel free to donate something monthly that way. But honestly, I would just rather you buy a t-shirt and you have something in exchange. We don't make a lot of money off of our merch. We set the prices. We get to set the prices ourselves. And my aim was to keep them low enough that they were affordable, because everybody deserves some cute shirts. Anyway, we love you all and are so grateful for all the support we've received. But just wanted to answer that. For anyone who was wondering. Okay, and then the last thing I wanted to mention, and I will talk about this on Monday's episode too, but since this is a short one, and I don't know if I've ever really said it, but I think I have. Anyway, our theme song, it was originally meant as a placeholder, and it just kind of stayed. But it is a song by my band Panda Forces. In the earlier episodes, it was credited on Anchor, but since we started using a different platform to record most of our episodes, it doesn't show up like that anymore. So I did just want to shout out my band Panda Forces, just in case anybody enjoys that song in the beginning and they wanted to know and they want to hear the full version. The song is called So Basic, and my band Panda Forces is currently working on recording our first full-length album, but we do have an EP and two singles available on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, all of that stuff, and so that's another way that doesn't really help our podcast, but it helps me, Lauren, if you just stream my music on Spotify. And then if you are either in the Nashville area or in the Baltimore, Maryland area, we do have some shows coming up, so just follow us on Facebook or whatever if you like. I don't really like to shameless plug our band on the podcast, but I just kind of thought, since at this point we're 20 episodes in or so. I don't remember. I have no idea, but my point is, at this point we've played So Basic on this podcasts and a lot of times without it really being credited. So I just thought, in case anyone was wondering, I lacked it. Now you know. And again, I'll talk more about my band a little bit on Monday when Lindsay and I talk about our lives and who we are. That's the topic of our next episode. I know you guys are so excited to hear us talk about ourselves. We're so interesting and cool. We're so special and unique and wonderful. Okay, my sarcasm doesn't quite come through without a co-host to laugh at my stupid jokes. I hope you guys laugh at it anyway. I'm an idiot. Anyway, without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and play the rest of So Basic for you guys. So if you guys wanted to hear it, now is your time to jam it out, do a little dance. Yeah, I'm done talking. Have a good week. We will see you in a few days. Thanks, guys.